Hello friends, welcome back to this channel on Jungian psychology. Today we're going to talk about how to navigate inner chaos using Jung's ideas. Let's jump right in. So what is inner chaos? Well, I think it refers to a time when we feel very uncertain about ourselves and our lives and maybe even fearful or panicked. It seems like everything is out of control. We don't know which direction to go, what to do with our lives. This is a fancy word Jung used to describe the process of becoming an individual, of integrating all the different parts of ourselves, both conscious and unconscious, into a coherent whole. When we are young, we are full of potential. We have the capacity to become many different kinds of people. But as we grow older, we start to specialize. If you follow your heart, you might want to become an artist. We should try to find the balance between our idealism and our practicality, between our hearts and our minds. This is the idea that there are meaningful coincidences in life. Sometimes when we are feeling lost or confused, we meet someone who seems to have all the answers, or we read a book that changes our life. These are not just coincidences. They are signs that we are on the right track. Alternatively, it could be a fear of losing control. We should look for the patterns and connections in our lives, because they can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. The only way to truly know is to look within yourself and figure out what these symbols mean to you personally. Jung believed that we all have our own unique set of symbols that we can use to better understand ourselves. This can be challenging, but it is possible. It is worth it because it leads to a more balanced and fulfilling life. If you are more practical, you might want to become a doctor. But Jung would say that there is nothing wrong with wanting to be an artist doctor. This involves integrating all the different parts of ourselves, both conscious and unconscious, into a coherent whole. Second, we can pay attention to the messages that our emotions are sending us. Emotions are often the way that the unconscious mind communicates with us. So if we are feeling lost or confused, we should pay attention to our emotions and try to understand what they are telling us. Third, we can look for the balance between our idealism and our practicality. Jung believed that we don't have to choose between being idealistic and being practical. It can be both. In fact, he argued that it is possible to have the best of both worlds. Finally, we can pay attention to the signs that appear in our lives. Jung believed that there are meaningful coincidences in life. Sometimes when we are feeling lost or confused, we meet someone who seems to have the answers to our questions, or we read a book that changes our lives. These are not just coincidences, they are signs that we are on the right track. There is no reason why you can't combine your passions with your practicality. In fact, Jung would argue that this is the ideal situation. You may feel like there is a lot of noise in your head, but you can't make sense of it. Then you meet someone who seems to have the answer. They tell you exactly what you need to do, and it all makes sense. It feels like everything is falling into place. This is not a coincidence. It is a sign that you are on the right track. Being an artist doctor allows you to express your creativity, while also helping others. It allows you to be both idealistic and practical. We become more focused on certain things and less focused on others. We make decisions about what to study in school, what kind of friends to have, and what kind of person we want to be. And all of these decisions shape us into the adults we are today. It's even something that seems so simple like choosing a college or a career feels impossible if you're re-feeling this way. We should look for the patterns and connections in our lives, because they can lead us to the answers we are seeking. We're always changing and evolving, and that means we are always integrating new information and experiences into our sense of self. Symbols are everywhere. They are in the stories we tell, the art we create, and even in our dreams. Jung believed that these symbols can help us understand ourselves better because they represent the unconscious aspects of our psyche. We are told to be realistic and practical. Jung believed that this is a false dichotomy. He didn't think that we had to choose between being idealistic and being practical. He thought that we could be both. In fact, he believed that it was possible to have the best of both worlds. Sometimes this is easy. It's easy to integrate experiences that fit well with the way we already see ourselves. But other times, it can be challenging. It can be difficult to integrate experiences that don't fit with the way we see ourselves, especially if they come from our unconscious mind. These experiences may be uncomfortable or even painful, but Jung believed that they are necessary in order to grow. If we are willing to embrace them, these experiences can help us become more whole individuals. They can help us integrate the different parts of ourselves and become more complete. But if we try to avoid them, they will continue to show up in our lives in different ways until we deal with them. You may feel torn between different paths or pulled in multiple directions by people who have different expectations of you. But Jung would say that there's an opportunity in all this apparent chaos, and that's the focus of today's episode. So let's talk about what he means by that. One way of navigating inner chaos, according to Jung, is to understand the role of opposites. The idea here is that when we experience inner conflict or turmoil, it's often because we are in touch with opposing aspects of ourselves. Jung believed that everyone has two sides, one that's conscious and one that's unconscious. Our conscious side is the part of us that we are aware of, our thoughts, feelings, and actions. But our unconscious holds hidden aspects of ourselves that we aren't directly aware of, but that still influence how we think and behave. Sometimes these unconscious aspects of ourselves bubble up into our conscious mind, like when we have a dream or a memory that takes us back to a past experience. But other times they manifest in more subtle ways, like when we suddenly get a strong feeling about something or someone for no apparent reason. When these unconscious aspects of ourselves surface, they often express themselves in the form of emotions. And when we don't understand where these emotions are coming from, it can feel like there's a lot of inner turmoil or chaos. It can be confusing and overwhelming to feel so much emotion all at once. But Jung would say that this is actually a good thing. These emotions are trying to tell us something important about ourselves. They are messages from our unconscious mind. So the key to navigating inner chaos is to pay attention to these messages and figure out what our emotions are trying to tell us. This can be challenging, but it's also an opportunity to learn more about ourselves and become more whole. Another way to navigate inner chaos using Jung's ideas is to embrace the process of individuation. But Jung believed that this process of specialization doesn't just stop when we grow up. It continues throughout our lives. When we are young, we are often encouraged to follow our dreams and be ourselves. But as we get older, we often hear the opposite message. For example, let's say you're trying to decide what kind of work to do with your life. So when we are feeling lost or confused, Jung would say that we should try to find this middle ground. Jung also believed that we can use the concept of synchronicity to help us navigate inner chaos. For example, let's say you are feeling called to make a change in your life, but you are not sure what to do. So when we are feeling lost or confused, we should pay attention to these signs. And lastly, Jung also believed that we can use the concept of symbols to help us understand ourselves and our place in the world. For example, let's say you keep having dreams about flying. This could symbolize a desire for freedom or independence. So when we are feeling lost or confused, we should pay attention to the symbols around us. In conclusion, Jung offers us a few tools to help us navigate inner chaos. First, we can embrace the process of individuation. If you found this video helpful, please consider liking it and subscribing to this channel on Jung psychology. Thank you for watching.